Hey everyone, it's Dion with 91 Cravings and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you the process of frosting a cake and getting them smooth surfaces that you be seeing so much. And there's only two things that you really need to help you get a smooth surface on the cake. That is, of course, spatula. Set that down. But most importantly, the main thing you'll need is this. It has many names, bench scraper, dough scraper, and all that. This is the main thing you need. I bought mine from Hobby Lobby, but it's about time for me to invest in a bigger one. But this is all you need right here. What I like to go ahead and do first is I like to go ahead and I like to get my smoother warm by submerging it in some lukewarm water. It don't got to be boiling hot, but it is best to have this warm when smoothing out a cake. And like always, to help keep this cake in place, take some frosting, smear it on the board. That's that. And for today's cake, I'm using some leftover cake layers that I had that's been sitting in my freezer. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and make a video using these. This will be the best way to help get rid of them. And then plus, my friends and family will get to eat a free cake. Now, let's spoon on some frosting. And also my cake layers are frozen. And honestly, it's best working with frozen cake layers than fresh cake layers because they don't break as easily. And so when I do have orders, I'll go ahead and I'll make my cake layers and then I'll freeze them. And then I'll frost them because they don't move around as much and they stay still, as you can see. And the first thing we're going to build on this cake is the crumb coat. And with the cake all assembled now, let's go ahead and start working on the crumb coat. And as you can see, there is frosting coming out from the sides of the cake, from in between each layer. But honestly, that's fine because that's going to help with the crumb coat. And you know, that way you don't got to use a whole lot of frosting. And so what you do is you can just go ahead and start spreading out that frosting that's coming out from the sides of the cake. And it's going to fill in a lot of spaces that's there on the cake. And so now a crumb coat is essentially a thin layer of frosting that catches all of, well, what it says, the crumbs. And you do that first, and then you put it in the fridge or freezer and you let it harden. And then you come back and you put your final coating of frosting on there because the crumb coat catches all loose crumbs so that it doesn't show in the cake. And you just take your icing and you just spread it on out. And like I said, the crumb coat does not have to be thick. It is a thin layer of frosting. Make sure you get it good. And you just take your time going all around. And as y'all can see, can y'all see how it's catching everything right there? And this is the crumb coat. And as you can see, it's like I said, it is a very thin layer of frosting. And the purpose of it is to catch all the crumbs that will come from off of the cake while trying to frost. Because if you don't do this, crumbs will appear in your final layer of frosting. And with the crumb coat all done, let's go ahead and put this bad boy in the fridge so that it can fully crust up and hard and just seal in all these crumbs that it has caught. Now, when you put it in the fridge, it's best to leave it in there for 30 minutes to an hour. But you can cut that time in half by putting it in the freezer. Cake is out the fridge now, and as you can see, the frosting has crusted and hardened up, and every little crumb has been caught in. And as you can see, I touch it, not sticking to my fingers or nothing. And yes, my hands are clean. But okay, let's get the frosting. Now, we just take a big dollop of frosting and you just start spreading it on the cake. This is one of many ways that you can spread frosting on the cake. What a lot of people like to do is either this or they would take a piping bag and they'll cut off off the tip at the end, and then they'll just pipe big bulging lines going around the cake, and then they'll smooth it out. That's one way to do it, and this is the other. Make sure you put good amounts of it on the cake, because when you smooth it out, it will spread out and thin out some. And if there's area where less frosting than the other, then it's going to show, because it's going to show through all the way to the crumb coat, or it's going to be thinner than one side, and it might leave a lump. Got a little bit of frosting. Hold on. Just kidding. It's still there. I'm going to wipe my hand off. Like right there. It's kind of thin, so put just a little bit more. And now you fill up the top. You really don't got to put a lot on the top of the cake, because when you while you're smoothing out the sides, it's going to also be pushing up the frosting towards the top of the cake, and you're gonna have even more frosting to use on top. So you don't have to use a lot. You take it and you just spread it out. Let's take our smoother, in which you can tell it's been submerged in a warm water, so it's nice and hot. Let's get the smoothing. So start right here and start smoothing. And you see what I meant by if you don't put enough frosting in one spot, it'll show to the crumb coat. So I will go back and fix that. Sit that down, taking frosting and just adding it back to right there. Add that back. Dip in the water again and come back to it. All right. And so now you see right there, that means that there isn't enough frosting right there. You'll get little inside holes and caves like that, which means that the frosting was thin at that part right there. So let me go ahead and fill that in, and I'll come right back. Okay, y'all bear with me for a second. I don't know why this is happening now, and I done frosted how many cakes before in the past. I don't know, I guess I'm just nervous because I'm trying to show y'all what to do, so bear with me. Don't judge me too much. But then again, the initial frosting process isn't going to always go smoothly. You know, it's going to take several times around the cake to fix everything right. Let me even that out, and make sure you always keep the blade flat and parallel to the cake, because if you leave any space, like if you leave it crooked or anything, believe me, it's gonna show in the cake, because the frosting will be sloped going from one side going down or going down up like that. Alright, and so this is the first go around, and as you can see, there's still plenty of spots to fix, so we go back with frosting and we'll fix that. Frosting a cake does take time and practice, because you have to be able to get down moving in one fast motion. Well, not one fast, but one continuous motion, and I did this on purpose. If you continuously stop, you will make these lines that's in the cake. But since this is for just tutorial purposes, these lines will be fine for right now. So now let's smooth out this top part. We can take our spatula that I had sitting in the warm water too, and you just go around, and so you bring it in, clean it off, bring it in, clean it off, bring it in, clean off, and bring it in, and you continue this whole process around the entire cake. And then once you bring it in, well, that's why I call it bringing it in, because you're pushing in and you're creating these smooth, even line across the entire top of the cake. And if you see a spot that you think could get reheat again, just go back and bring it in. Now this can honestly be the toughest part right here, is smoothing out the top of the cake, because you want it nice, even, and flat, and the top of the cake will accumulate the most frosting. And so what it is, you just got to take your time, smooth it out, and get rid of any extra frosting that the spatula picks up. And it's best to continuously work back and forth like this. And dip your spatula in the warm water to help smooth it out when need be, or you'll get continuous lines back and forth. Alright everyone, and there you have it, one frosted cake. If you can't tell, I kind of went back off camera and I fixed any imperfections that I might have had, and now this cake is perfectly smooth. Well, almost perfectly smooth. You know, frosting a cake perfectly, it takes time and practice, so you just have to keep at it, especially when you do wedding cakes and all that, and they like for the cake to be shown. It takes practice, but if you continuously do it, you'll get better at it. Alright everyone, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and smash that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so that you can know every time I post. And it's like I said, frosting a cake, it takes time and practice. You are not going to get it on the very first try. I mean, there are some who can, but majority of the time, it's going to take you over and over to do it. But you will get better at it though. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. But alright everyone, I'll see you in the next one. And remember, you're all special and I love you. And goodbye.